You just started a new job. You're good at what you do. You work hard, you show up, you hit your deadlines. And then, 6 months in, you look around and realize that the person who got promoted wasn't the hardest worker in the room. It was the person who had lunch with the right manager, the one who somehow always had their name attached to projects they barely touched, the one who seemed to know about decisions before they were even made. And you're sitting there thinking, is this how it works? Do I have to become that person to get ahead? That feeling right there, that mix of confusion and low-key dread, is your official welcome to office politics. Pull up a chair. We need to talk. Let me start with a reframe, because I think most people fundamentally misunderstand what office politics is. When people say office politics, they picture the manipulative stuff, the backstabbing, the credit stealing, the whisper campaigns, the brown-nosing. And yeah, that stuff exists. We'll get into it. But at its core, office politics is just this: the unofficial system of power and influence that exists alongside the official one. Every organization has two org charts. The one on paper, titles, reporting lines, who technically manages who. And the real one, who actually influences decisions, who has the ear of leadership, who people actually listen to when things get messy. Office politics is just navigating that second org chart. And here's the thing nobody tells you when you're starting out. You are already playing it. You just might not know the rules yet. I know some of you are watching this right now thinking, I just want to do good work and be left alone. I don't want to play games. I respect that, genuinely. But I have to be real with you. That's not neutrality. That is a strategy. And a lot of the time, it's a losing one. Because when you opt out of building relationships, managing perception, understanding the power dynamics around you, you don't escape the game. You just play it blindly. And people who play blindly tend to be the ones who get surprised when they get passed over, or pushed out, or find out that everyone knew something was about to happen except them. I'll drop this here and let it sit. The people who say, I don't do politics, are sometimes the most politically naive people in the building. And naive isn't the same as innocent. Naive just means uninformed. And being uninformed in a political environment has real, lasting consequences for your career. So this video isn't about teaching you to scheme or manipulate. It's about going from blindly playing the game to consciously playing it in a way you can live with. Let me introduce you to some characters you're going to meet. You might already know a few of them. First, the credit vacuum. This person has a supernatural ability to be in the room when good things happen and completely invisible when things go wrong. Their name somehow ends up attached to work they barely touched. They've mastered the art of visibility, which is honestly a skill, just an annoying one when it's being used against you. Then there's the gatekeeper. This person controls what information flows up to leadership. They're not always the most senior person in the room. Sometimes it's a long-tenured mid-manager. Sometimes it's an EA. Sometimes it's just someone the boss genuinely trusts. But they shape what leadership's reality looks like. Getting on their bad side is quietly one of the most dangerous things you can do. The alliance builder is everywhere in every workplace. Constantly scheduling coffee chats, dropping the right compliment in the right meeting, always cultivating. They're not necessarily fake. Some of the best political operators are also genuinely warm people. They've just figured out that relationships are real capital. Then you've got the martyr. Always overwhelmed, always stressed, always somehow mentioning they were at the office until midnight. The martyr uses suffering as a status signal. I was up until 2 a.m. finishing this isn't just a complaint. It's a positioning statement. And weirdly, it often works. And finally, the Switzerland. This person has survived multiple reorgs, multiple leadership changes, multiple rounds of layoffs. They have almost no enemies because they never take strong public positions. They are masters of the perfectly vague response. There's a version of this that's cowardly. And there's a version that is pure, elegant, battle-tested survival instinct. Here's the uncomfortable part. You'll probably be all of these at different points in your career. That's not a character flaw. That's just how complex environments work on real human beings. All right,
Let's get into the darker mechanics, the things that can genuinely derail your career if you're not paying attention. Credit theft is real, and it's more common than people admit. In collaborative environments, ownership of ideas gets murky fast, and in that murkiness, politically savvy people thrive. The defense here isn't paranoia, it's documentation. Send recap emails after meetings. Reference your own contributions in writing. Make it easy for people to trace ideas back to you. Leave a breadcrumb trail. Being cut out of information loops is huge, and early career people often don't even notice it's happening. There's a thing in offices where certain people just know things. They know about the reorg before it's announced. They know what leadership actually thinks about a project. They know whose role is quietly being changed. This information advantage compounds over time, and it doesn't come from hacking emails. It comes from relationships. If you're consistently the last to know, ask yourself, whose loop am I not in and why? Being used as a pawn in someone else's fight. This one is subtle and nasty. Someone invites you to vent about a third person. They ask for your honest opinion about a colleague. They share something in confidence that later turns out to be bait. You don't realize what's happened until you're somehow caught in a conflict that had absolutely nothing to do with you. The rule: don't become a weapon in someone else's war. When someone tries to recruit you into their drama, stay vague, stay kind, and stay out of it. The perception gap. This is the distance between how good you actually are and how good the people who make decisions about your career think you are. In a perfect world, these are the same number. In the real world, there's almost always a gap. Some people are overrated because they manage perception brilliantly. Some people are underrated because they let their work speak for itself in environments where work doesn't actually speak that loudly. The goal is to close that gap, not by inflating your results, but by communicating them. Okay, here's what you actually came for. Step 1. Map the real power structure first. Spend your first few months in any new environment observing more than you act. Who do people actually listen to in meetings? Not because of their title, but because of their credibility. Whose pushback kills projects? Who does leadership check in with informally? You're building a mental map of the real org chart. Don't skip this. Most people never do it and then wonder why they keep getting surprised. Build relationships before you need them. This is the mistake I see most early career people make. They show up transactionally. They only connect with people when they want something. And then when they need political cover or someone to vouch for them or a senior person to go to bat for them, the account is empty. Real relationship building is slow, consistent, and genuinely curious. Coffee, lunch, actual interest in what people are working on. It feels inefficient until the day it saves your career. Manage your visibility intentionally. This doesn't mean being loud or self-promotional in a way that makes people cringe. It means communicating proactively. The recap email after a big meeting. The status update that nobody asked for but everyone needed. The moment in a presentation where you connect your work to a broader strategic goal. These aren't games, they're just good communication. The person who does great work in silence is taking a real career risk. Know when to fight and when to let it go. Political capital is finite. Every time you push back loudly, every time you make noise, every time you plant your flag on something, you spend some of it. The question you always need to ask is this worth it? Sometimes the answer is absolutely yes. Your integrity or someone else's well-being might be on the line. But people who fight every battle run out of credibility for the battles that actually matter. Save your energy strategically. And keep your integrity as a genuine non-negotiable. There is a version of political navigation that requires you to lie, betray people, or play dirty. I'm not recommending it, not just because it's wrong, but because it doesn't even work long-term. In organizations where trust is the real currency, being known as someone who manipulates is eventually a career-ending reputation. The people who last and actually thrive tend to be both politically intelligent and genuinely trustworthy. That combination is rare. It's worth building. Here's the honest truth. Office politics isn't a design flaw. It's not something uniquely broken about your workplace. It is the completely predictable result of putting ambitious human beings in hierarchical structures with limited resources and unclear rules. Every organization has it. The 15-person startup has it. The nonprofit that prides itself on not being like corporate has it. The academic department, the government office, the NGO, the hospital, all of it. Because it's not really about offices, it's about people. So the question was never, how do I find the place with no politics? That place doesn't exist. The real question is, how do I develop enough political intelligence to protect myself, advance my career, and still look at myself at the end of the day? That's the thing worth working on. And if any of this landed for you, I'm genuinely curious. Have you been burned by office politics? Or have you watched someone else get burned and quietly filed it away as a lesson? Drop it in the comments. Let's actually talk about it.